Welcome to Deep Dive Daily.
Welcome in. Drew is traveling / working / saving the world from earthquakes today. So I'll just talk awards a little myself since I'm in such a good mood about awards with Jackson Dart. DED. Dead. Not really. He does live, but kind of a bummer. I'm not sure we have that up there right now. I don't want to start there because it's too depressing. We'll get there when we get there, but we will go through some of the award markets. Might even look at first coach fired. If you have any hot takes, by all means, drop them in the chat so I have somebody to bounce this off of. It's more difficult to do this without a co-host because you just talk to yourself the whole time. Regardless, we'll kind of do how we always do, and as we mentioned on Monday, it is turning into a different kind of 2-horse race I don't know, like I kind of wish I was better at finding clips from old shows because I yelled at Drew about this and he's not even here to defend himself. So fully throwing mama from the train, Drew under the bus. But when we talked like, it was, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, it was a 2-horse race. And I said, we did this with, we did this with Jalen Hurts a couple years ago. It's week 8, it's week 9. We can't do this because shit happens. And here we are. Matthew Stafford, Drake May, pretty much co-favorites. And with another 3-touchdown, 2-million-yard game, Jonathan Taylor is leapfrog Josh Allen, who, obviously didn't have a great week. Patrick Mahomes sitting steady at 6-1. He didn't play. What's he going to do? He wasn't allowed to hurt himself or help himself. But, with another nice performance from Stafford, who has, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions or something ridiculous. And then Drake May with a 6th straight win, kind of your deserving favorites, I suppose. I'm not going to poo-poo them. My Jordan Love ticket is looking pretty bad. You can get him for 47-1. Wouldn't recommend it. Sam Darnold is down to 11.45, plus 11.45 at Bookmaker right now. I get it. He's had a great year. They could have the 1 seed. He could put himself in this conversation. Boy, I don't know if people are going to be able to wash the stink of what they saw at the end of last year and the fact that it's just Sam Darnold. And when you have names like Stafford and Mahomes and Allen and Jonathan Taylor, again, and I will harp on this until we get to the damn award ceremony. If he is close to breaking the touchdown scoring record, he has a legitimate chance to bust over these guys, especially if it's back and forth between May and Allen for the AFC East. If Mahomes doesn't win the division, I don't know, let's say Denver or the Chargers, both very viable options, obviously, right now to win the division. If Mahomes doesn't even win his division, can you give it to him? If Stafford loses the division to Darnold in a close race, it feels like all these quarterbacks near the top have their foil, have their someone who's able to kind of push back and forth and make for the devil's advocate votes against him. And Jonathan Taylor just trucking along. I'm trying to think of the meme where it's the guy who's really angry and then the little guy who's just like, I'm just Jonathan Taylor. Just happy to score 3 touchdowns every week. So good for you. Keep it rolling. Let's go Colts. I don't have anything in this market to add. I don't think there's any long shots that are worth it. Someone mentioned Jalen Hurts. Is he going to get enough credit if they're the 1 seed? That's crazy. Like, they are the 1 seed right now. If the playoffs start today, the Eagles in the NFC, he's just not getting, any sort of credit because kind of a weird team. Ugly defensive-minded win last week. Not sure that he elevates himself into the conversation. Maybe worth looking at his schedule, see if you see something you like there. But, man, there's an awful lot of names for him to get back in there. People have bet on Lamar as well. I get it. They probably win. They probably win the division. Yeah. And the Colts, I guess, maybe the 1 seed, it depends how strong the 1 seed is. I think any of the names I mentioned whether it's Drake May, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's, I think any of those quarterbacks could win as the 2 seed if the Colts were the 1 seed and Jonathan Taylor, just has a fine year, not a outstanding year with 2,000 yards and a record-breaking touchdown scoring. I don't know that the 1 seed is commensurate for some of those quarterbacks. But if any of those quarterbacks do win the 1 seed, it makes it a lot harder for Jonathan Taylor, obviously. Like, hey, especially if it's someone we didn't see taking the 1 seed coming into this year, like the like the Patriots. If the Patriots were your 1 seed, kind of pencil them in with a pen, though. Moving on to DPOI, Myles Garrett, your favorite again. Hutchinson's dealing with an injury. It sounds like he's fine to play, but he's missing some practice. Micah Parsons plus 206. I get it. That was a good defensive effort. It wasn't on the stat sheet a lot during the first part of the game. Got in there at the end. Will Anderson finally below 10-1. Starting to get some respect. That's a pretty good defense. And then Nick Bonito still right there. That's an elite defense. And I guess I don't know that there's a name outside of those 5 that I could speculate on getting into this conversation again. Although Jared Verse, that Rams defense, that could be something. I wonder, you take this Seattle team, and I like the Seattle team. I have futures on them. I'm probably going to back them this week. But just future casting that game, if the Rams really shut down Seattle, on offense you saw just thunder trucking bad teams here, and the Rams defense is, hey, we found a way to slow this down. Our offense looks pretty good. They win 24-7, something like that. Just a very convincing win. Somebody like Jared Verse could get the conversation because I think that's an underrated defense on people's radar right now. Everybody wants to talk about Stafford and whatnot, and nobody's talking about Jared Verse. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I don't have anything to add here. A lot of these games have primetime games. Myles Garrett getting love, but so is Schlesinger as we get to him too. It's interesting to see how teams view a team like that. We've seen it with the Rams. Like some of those, maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't think all those Rams teams where Aaron Donald won were really, really good teams. I don't know that any of them are as bad as the Browns are offensively, but that's not Myles Garrett's fault. I don't know that you need to be a good record to win this award. Absolutely not. So Myles Garrett, if he has a couple more of those big games, sure. And A.J. Donaldson pointing out that Greg Olson was waxing poetic about Darnold and Stafford for MVP. And they've both been good, but they both kind of played some bad teams here recently. If you're Seattle, you're supposed to beat the tar out of Washington and the Cardinals. And, I mean, even the Rams last week. That's a Niners defense that's missing a lot of players. Offensive Player of the Year, Jonathan Taylor's minus 400. That'll be interesting to see if he truly is in the discussion at the end of the year. I think if he wins MVP, he double dips. If he has 29 or 30 touchdowns, that we just keep getting this, unrealistic amount of scoring out of him, and he ends up with the 2,000 yards, he probably double dips. Even if he doesn't win MVP, it feels like if he stays healthy, this is his award. Congrats to JSN for a really nice year. You're going to get a shitload of second place votes. I'm not even sure who the third place votes go to. I see McCaffrey isn't far off on the odds. Who else? God, the next closest after McCaffrey is like Jamar Chase at 33-1. I can't imagine taking a long shot here. I mean, the only viable bet you could make here is JSN, and essentially you're saying it's a parlay of Jonathan Taylor gets hurt and JSN doesn't. I don't know if plus 250 is a good enough price for something like that, because at this point I don't know what's going to happen to, just looking at the Colts schedule, they have enough games that he's going to have decent counting stats in there. Here's the Colts schedule. They do play, they play the Texans coming up, but the Chiefs can slow the run down. The Texans can slow the run down. Maybe this is a spot where he's going to have a couple of rough weeks, and then they go on the road. Should be able to run against the Jaguars. The Seattle's tough, but then at the end, it's Niners, Jags, Texans on the road, though. There's some tough games ahead for JT. Maybe, you know what? Let's proclaim him dead. Dead for MVP. Can't do it. He's going to end up with 14 touchdowns, even though he has more than that already. Never going to score again. There's actually some tough ones in there. So I think he still wins OPOI, though. I don't have some long shot I can sit here and stump for at this moment. Offensive Rookie of the Year, as I mentioned, very depressing. Emeka Egbuka, -160 at Bookmaker now. Dart, your second favorite. Missing this week, Jameis stepping in. He's +248. Tyler Warren, 3-1. Everybody else down the board, Genty, Judkins, McMillan, Henderson, down quite a bit. Gadsden listed, even though he's probably going to miss a week, maybe at least be hampered by that injury. And then Kyle Monangai, 90-1, fun one, but a little too late, too little too late, I think, for him, despite half a season being there, just because of what Egbuka, Dart, Warren, and the rest have kind of done so far. So I think if you have a cash out book on Dart, you think about it. If you had a ticket, if you had a big ticket, I think you have to think about it, because it's one thing if this were a one-time deal and, he's never had a hand injury before. Man, he's been evaluated for like 5 concussions this year. There's a decent chance this is a multi-week thing where they just kid gloves. This is the future. We fired our coach. We're not in win now mode. We know we like this kid. We know we're going to play him. We don't need to see if it's, should we draft a quarterback or not? I guess we doesn't include Dable anymore. So maybe Kafka feels differently. That's an interesting kind of wrinkle that we're not going to know, but there's a chance Dart just sits for a while. And then that number starts absolutely bottoming out. Although Egbuka is an interesting one as well, with Godwin practicing this week as well as Bucky Irving. So the target share is going to get a little funnier down there. Although it's not like he wasn't getting targeted when the elder stars were playing for Tampa Bay as well. So, of the Genty, Judkins, McMillan, Henderson chunk, I don't know that there's some case to be made for one of those guys to step in. Again, your case for one of them is Dart sits the rest of the season. Those tough defenses I mentioned against the Colts limit Tyler Warren as well. You think you can limit Warren and Jonathan Taylor, have fun? And then Egbuka, I guess, he doesn't do anything, gets hurt. I don't know. There's the parlay of all that happening combined with like Ted McMillan. Are you saying there's going to be some big offensive renaissance in Carolina or Las Vegas for Genty, Judkins, Cleveland, where they're going to be in positive game states? The most positive offense, I think, it's Travion Henderson. His coach hates him. Doesn't even want to play him. Guy got lucky. He broke a couple. It's just a weird situation up there. So another one where I'm not making any ads this week. And of course, the one that for some reason Bookmaker never lists, Defensive Rookie of the Year, where Abdul Carter has fallen. Carter has fallen to a +450. Carson Schwarzenegger, the Lisper's nightmare, +175 at Bovada. I could pull up Bet Online too, I suppose. Player futures, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He is +150. Carter's +450 there as well. Nick Amonowuri, second favorite. We mentioned that. That's a weird one as well. With it's viewed as a good defense. He's a big part of it, but are we giving this to a safety? Although the rules clearly state this is an award that must be given to the best defensive end who puts up some fun stats and plays a lot. In lieu of that, which is where we are, the voters have to move to step 2. You can give it to a linebacker who has a bunch of tackles and is a big part of a good defense. I guess and Carson Schlesinger kind of fits in that boat. He's a fun player. Drafted by was this the one where we were talking about this, and he was actually drafted by the Giants, or was that they traded out of that spot or something along those lines? Either way, a real good player right now. Not a first round pick, but he got an interception now. He's got some stats, and he's got some steam, I guess, behind him. I don't know what the case for Amon-Awario is outside of he's a meaningful contributor to a really good defense, but I think that's kind of where we're at, the weird spot where Carter, Walker, Ezeraku, who were the other guys? Scorton, Mike Green, Shamar Stewart, Pierce. You're not getting the pass rushers that are kind of meaningful contributions, especially in the counting stats. So you got to find somebody else, and we'll see. I guess I'm not very good at predicting who's going to pop up in this one, because we went into this a couple weeks ago and we looked at Mike Green, that little Mike Green at 20-1. He's 50-1 now. So good job by me. I don't know if anybody has a name. I still think this is kind of wide open for somebody to step into this late in the season. Because we've seen that in the past as well, where defenses, and this is something we mentioned, especially with like the New England defenses of yore, it takes like 6, 7, 8 weeks for these teams to kind of figure out what they want to do on defense. And sometimes you can see some defenses rounding into form in the second half of the season. And I wonder if that's what you get from somebody here, and somebody's, contributing big time. Derek Harmon. I don't know about Will Johnson. Man, he's hurt too. Or he has been hurt. Jalen Walker. I don't know. There's not somebody that's popping off the page that makes me want to say this is going to be a good defense here in the second half of the season, and this guy's going to be a big part of it at a decent price. I think those people are, like maybe Jalen Walker. But for now, there's nobody I'm excited about. Like again, people, Jihad Campbell 7-1. I guess there's a case for that. It's a good defense, but with some of the moves they made, is he going to get as much playing time as we hoped? And then back to OPOI, Z-Man says, "Shuck, offensive rookie of the year. It is a really soft schedule, and he's a quarterback, and it is a huge number. And I've seen pretty low lows of him. Maybe." If you get like 250-1 on an offensive rookie of the year, and he's basically the only quarterback playing right now, I've made worse bets. I mean, you can bet Cam Ward at that, and he's actually, got a half season under his belt. Let's see what we have on Bet Online. That's offensive player of the year. They don't even. Some of these lists so many people. It's like, do we really think these people are actually going to win this award? Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, it's not listed a lot of places. I have to go hunt that down. I'm not sure where you found that, Z-Man. Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. They just keep winning. What are you going to do? Minus 155. He's a sizable favorite at this point with Steichen. Basically, his mirrored price on the other side of the zero, plus 160. That all checks out. I mean, until the Colts or Patriots have a real big stinker, they're going to be right up there. And even if they do, if either of these men win the 1 seed, they win it. If either of these men win their division and the other doesn't, I think they win it. It would take a lot for someone to knock them off. Some of the other names that were, trendy in the beginning of the season, like Cohen and Harbaugh, and even Shanahan and Campbell, are all down 40, 50, 60-1. The only real competitor price-wise right now is Mike McDonald, who, I don't know, just getting no love. Nobody seems. I don't take in a lot of media, I guess, outside of Twitter and reading, but I'm not seeing like clips either. Sometimes you see the clips from First Take and all that bullshit. I'm not seeing a lot of excitement around Mike McDonald, but that's another one too. And I don't know. I think if he wins the 1 seed for Seattle, he's in the conversation. But again, I think voters would give it to Vrabel first. Vrabel's a known quantity. Patriots are, I don't know. You know what? I don't even know what I'm trying to explain there. It's just it's the Patriots. We saw this proud franchise for 20 years fall on hard times over the last couple, and then I don't even know if it's anything he did. A lot of it is just personnel you're bringing in and the fact that your quarterback's playing good. But I think if Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel win the 1 seeds, Vrabel probably 2-1s him in votes as far as first place for Coach of the Year. So no long shots here. Again, I like Seattle. I'm a Seattle guy. I hope they do win this. Kind of looking at other teams that have a shot at the 1 seed. I don't know that they've lost too many games. It's tougher to even put Kansas City in that conversation. But if Buffalo were to go on a winning streak here, it's still not a coach you're going to give it to. The expectations were high for McDermott. You're not going to give it to him. I don't think, the Ravens have lost too many games. Just thinking the elite teams in the AFC, who actually has a shot at this, and it's tough to make a case for any of those other teams to, sun run here at the end of the year. Same thing goes for even a garbage team like Pittsburgh, who maybe sun runs a little, and they have enough wins already in them to catch somebody. Just you're not going to give that guy Coach of the Year. So it's that one. This one does start to feel like the antithesis of what I said about MVP, where I think we can kind of say it is a small handful of guys at this point, and it's probably just those two. Where does that leave us? Comeback's dumb. Christian McCaffrey, even money-ish. Dak's right there. Daniel Jones, for some reason, still exists in this market, despite his last serious injury being in 2023. I would say if you made me bet this market, I'd bet Dak over Christian. He's a quarterback. Cowboys offense wasn't all that great 2 weeks ago, but I think he should have a little bit of an edge there. And also, as the Niners start to lose games, are you seriously going to be giving Christian McCaffrey that kind of volume late in the season when you're maybe out of the playoff hunt? So, although maybe you can say the same thing about Dak. So no chaser in that one, unless somebody has some real hot take and somebody who can overtake those guys, plus Hutchinson. I mean, some of the other names in that market, Stephon Diggs. Is anybody talking about him as a comeback? He's been hurt a couple times, but it's not like he's having some standout year. He's good, not great. Lawrence, J.J. McCarthy stinks. Rashee Rice is not getting votes. Max Crosby, Ricky Pearsall, he's not even playing. Yeah, the very small amount of guys who can win this. And once again, they've given me no options to bet assistant coach of the year. So I'm sitting on some Grizzard, the Grizzler, and I'm sitting on some Joe Brady, which doesn't feel good either, is how he's played. Mike McDaniel should win comeback player of the year. He's young enough. He can play in this league. Mike McDaniel coming back from basically being fired. Yeah, I get that. He could win this award. You want to look at a couple other fun ones? As long as with Drew not on the show, it goes a little quicker because there's no back and forth. That's not a jab at his long-windedness. I can be just as bad. Although I'm going to let it be a jab because he's not here again to defend himself. First coach fired market at BetOnline. Raheem Morris is your consensus favorite at -175, followed by Gannon and then Pete Carroll. I know that Las Vegas has been bad, but boy, it feels like it's still just a bridge kind of guy until they figure out the quarterback. Oh, they paid Geno. Maybe they thought they did. Mike McDaniel 7-1. At this point, I don't think they're going to get rid of him in season. They've kind of said so much. Stefanski plus 750. I don't. Has there been buzz around Morris losing his job? I know they've made some adjustments to where the DC down on the field, and I guess if they were to have an embarrassing loss to Carolina this week, what was the score in that other one? Was that the 30-0 game? So Panthers 30, Falcons 0. And then you lost to the Patriots, barely beat the Dolphins. Looking at the Panthers schedule now. I don't know why I did that. Man. I don't know if there's any buzz around this, him getting fired. Especially with, I don't know how Blank and them treat this situation in season. I'm just trying to see if there's a case to be made for who's going away on Black Monday, because it kind of feels like there might not be another in-season firing. A lot of these other guys they're newer head coaches. They've already said Aaron Glenn's not going anywhere, even though maybe he should. I doubt Pete Carroll's going anywhere. I doubt Schottenheimer, Quinn, Kellen Moore, some of the other guys who are under fire, they're going anywhere. So who's in the house cleaning on Black Monday? And now that Dable's gone, is it Gannon? Gannon's 3-1 to be next coach fired. If Atlanta holds on to Morris, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of value there. There could be some movement there. People want Schaefer thoughts. Let me check my Kalshi. I don't think he played last night. Kalshi says he has a 46% chance to win the Calder, the NHL Calder Memorial. I don't know if it's Calder or Calder. Demidov right on his heels. Not 100% a two-man race. There's some other players who are pretty good, but yeah, we need some good Islanders plays tonight. Ooh, big game tonight versus Brad's Golden Knights. Brad's Golden Knights. Brad's from like Georgia. Shouldn't he be a Thrashers fan? Is that a thing? And then I do not ever add an NBA Rookie of the Year. I think Drew was supposed to give me somebody. I didn't find anybody. The other markets, the other fun ones real quick. Lane Kiffin. And granted, these are, let's see what I can bet on this. These are $25 bet limit markets. So don't take these numbers as, the efficient market hypothesis probably doesn't apply to markets that top out at 25 to win, whatever. But Lane Kiffin is still listed as one of your favorites to be the Giants' next head coach, which is interesting. I get it. There's the fun connection with Dart. Kafka, second favorite. Kubiak is interesting. Kubiak being a one and done in Seattle with the, making that offense tick. Don't hate it. Brady's right there. He's been somebody that's been bandied around the last couple of years with what he's done with Josh Allen. Kingsbury doesn't feel like he's having the kind of year that's going to propel him to a head coaching job. And then I wonder, they hired an offense. You see some teams do the NBA zigzag shit where, hey, we hired an offensive head coach this time. We need a grinder, leader of men on the other side. We need a defensive guy. So you do wonder about the Halfley, Jesse Minter, Brian Flores. Brian Flores, very interesting name, I think, for somebody like this. I don't know how the lawsuit, it feels like a front office that would probably shy away from that. And then the other one is Titans next head coach, Matt Nagy is your favorite. I'll leave it at that. That sucks. Have fun with that, guys. Three of the top five names are Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith, and Cliff Kingsbury. So if there wasn't enough pain and misery in Tennessee, I guess we're adding some with some of those names. Jesus Christ, if they went with Matt Nagy, who I think is an okay OC, but boy, that's not what I would do. I said I wanted Joe Brady down there, and he's done nothing but embarrass me since. So kind of out on him for now. I think that's it. There's no other fun markets. Kyler Murray's next team. It doesn't list a baseball team, so that's no fun. But the Raiders are the favorite. Raiders and Jets are favorites there. I wonder if they do part ways with him. I don't know. Yeah, Vance Joseph getting some head coaching buzz too from Charles. Yeah, he's a good DC. Maybe a product of just absolutely nailing the player, the personnel that they've brought in as well. But I don't think that's a good move either. I don't know who the right move is. Some of these offensive guys fail. You bring them in, and it's like, this isn't somebody that's going to work out here. But we'll see what Kafka looks like the rest of the year. We'll see what Brady looks like the rest of the year up in Buffalo. And I guess, maybe Clint Kubiak, if Sam Darnold really keeps exploding and playing as efficient as he has, maybe he's a name that he probably gets some interviews. So, with that, I'm going to go. Somehow did 30 minutes myself. Good. Look at that. I'm going to play some music. I'm going to go work on some betting stuff. Try to find some. Last week, stuff popped off the page. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Stuff popped off the page. I want to bet this. I want to bet this. This number's wrong. This team's going to win. This is a bad matchup. I'm going to bet these 8 games. I barely have anything this week. A few props, a couple bets. So I don't want to force anything, but kind of feel like I need a little more. So we'll spend the afternoon updating some quarterback numbers, see where we're at, and we'll catch you tonight. Halftime. Drew will be back for halftime from Sedona. Oh, yeah, maybe he's not working. Maybe he's just fucking around in Arizona. I'm going to have to text him, figure that out.